Tonight, chanting bigots, bottle-throwing thugs and rampaging vandals. No other workers would tolerate this kind of behaviour, so why should football players?
Football, I do think, has a particular responsibility, and we want to see football clubs and sports governing bodies really step up to the plate.
Also tonight, with Brexit on the horizon, the Scottish Government trolls fishermen's views on the industry's future. We hear from EU nationals in Scotland who will now have to register to stay in the country they call home.
It makes me feel very sad because this has been my home all these years and I feel more Scottish than Danish.
In sport, Queen of the Track, we hear from Scotland's double gold winning athlete, Laura Muir. Good evening, I'm Ben Phillip and this is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. Good evening. Bigotry, thuggery, vandalism. Behaviour at Scottish football games is the focus of attention again after a weekend of disorder. The Players' Union is calling on the authorities to take action over the abuse of footballers during matches following two of this weekend's Scottish Cup quarter-finals. PFA Scotland says the rise in incidents must be addressed with the greatest of urgency. The First Minister wants to see clubs and the sport's governing bodies do more to accept responsibility. Our chief reporter Sharon Frew has more. Fisheries Secretary Fergus Ewing has launched a national discussion paper setting out the Scottish Government's vision for the future of the industry. He was in Orkney for the first in a series of meetings across Scotland. He says key priorities include access to Scottish waters not being traded away by the UK Government in Brexit talks. Here's Colin White. The number of apprenticeships in Scotland has almost tripled in the past decade, and now they're playing a role in inspiring the next generation of young workers. A network of past and present apprentices has been launched to visit schools and talk directly to pupils about the advantages of work-based learning. There's also a push to get more girls into traditionally male-dominated industries like construction and engineering. This report from Gordon Cree. Aberdeen City Council are being accused of cultural vandalism over proposed cuts which could result in many of the city's festivals being axed. Tomorrow, councillors will decide what areas to cut in a bid to plug a £40 million hole in their finances. City Moves dance agency, which runs the Dance Live Festival, Peacock Visual Arts Centre and Print Studio, and the popular Look Again Festival all face losing 100% of their council funding. Arts organisations have now issued a last-ditch appeal to councillors to save the city's vibrant art scene. Laura Alderman has more. And Laura's in the city centre for us tonight. Laura, what are the council saying this evening? OK, Laura, very interesting times ahead. I'm sure we'll hear more about that tomorrow evening. A man rescued from a house fire in Lossiemouth last month has died in hospital. Police say the 35-year-old, named locally as Neil Thompson, died on Saturday at Glasgow Royal Infirmary from his injuries. The blaze broke out at a house in the town's MacDonald Drive on the 21st of February. A 13-month-old baby girl and a 31-year-old woman also suffered serious injuries. Police are investigating the sexual assault of a woman in Orkney in the early hours of this morning. The attack is thought to have happened just after midnight in the town's Bridge Street area. Officers say inquiries are at an early stage. Military helicopters have found no trace of a climber from the Highlands missing on the world's 9th highest mountain. Tom Ballard, whose mother died on K2, was climbing Nanga Parbat in Pakistan with Italian national Daniel Nardi when they lost contact a week ago. Mr. Ballard, originally from Derbyshire, moved to the Highlands in 1995. Now a deer has died after apparently being attacked by a pack of dogs in Aberdeen. The animal was found in woodlands near Shedixley Sports Centre 2 weeks ago in a suspected case of illegal deer coursing. Crazy, insulting and upsetting. Just some of the feelings expressed by EU nationals in Scotland who will now have to register to stay in the country they call home. Under the current UK government plans, around 185,000 EU citizens north of the border will have to apply for the so-called settled status after Brexit. With just 25 days to go until the UK leaves the European Union, we hear their concerns. Now, it's time for all the sport with Chris. Now, Chris, despite all the off-field trouble we saw at the weekend, the football itself was actually pretty good.
Every single match, and there's another one tonight, was an absolute cracker. And we'll have the best of that coming up. But I have to say, topping all of that, Laura Muir. Unbelievable.
Amazing. And that takes us on to tonight's weather with Sean. Sean, the nights seem to be getting lighter. Is this summer starting to appear?
Well, that's us, of course, now started meteorological spring. Astronomical spring not until a few more weeks, but we're gaining about 4.5 minutes of daylight at the moment. You'll really start to notice that in the evenings. So by the end of the month, remember, it's 3 weeks this Sunday that we change the clock. So by the time we get to the last day of the month, sunset will be around 8 o'clock. Something to look forward to. Let's look at the forecast.
Well, that's all for this Monday's edition of the programme. I'll be back with the late news around 10:30 before Scotland Tonight. From everyone here on the news team, have a very good evening. Bye-bye for now.